God, look at my hair. I'm like a feral beast. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. My name's Al Brady and we're just going to get straight on with it. Making gnocchi is probably one of my favourite things to do at the moment. I've been making a lot of it. It's super easy to do at home and people are always really surprised when I do teach them how to make gnocchi, how easy it is. So let's get straight on with it. Now, first thing you've got to consider is your potato choice. What you want is what we call a floury potato. So a floury potato is the sort of potato that you would use that is perfect for your chips, your mashed potato, your roast potatoes, anything that's going to need nice, light, fluffy potato innards. That is what a floury potato is. So for gnocchi, we want these nice little, light little dumplings. So a floury potato is the way to go. You can avoid baking potatoes and your Charlotte potatoes. Waxy ones aren't going to cut it. They're going to end up being chewy, gloopy, not very nice texture. When it comes to floury potato varieties, the sort of things that you're going to think about, especially in England, we have King Edwards, like British Red or Rooster potatoes, and then my favourite, Maris Piper. Maris Piper, hands down, is the best potato for me, personally, when it comes to my mash, my chips, my roast potatoes. I go to Maris Piper every time. So for gnocchi, it was no contest. So first thing you're going to do is you're going to prick that potato all over and then you get to put it onto a tray. We're going to bake this potato. So straight onto a baking sheet. You can see I've chosen the biggest baking sheet that I can find for my singular potato. You can ignore this, make a much smaller baking sheet if you want, or even into a little sort of cast iron pan or something a little bit more sensible. So it goes into the oven for about an hour. Now I bake my potatoes for my gnocchi for the same reason I bake my potatoes for my mashed potato. It just keeps the flesh really nice and dry, light and fluffy. It doesn't take on any excess moisture as it would if you were boiling it. So in my opinion, it makes a superior mash and in this case, a superior gnocchi. Now once that potato is baked, you're going to cut it in half and scoop out all that lovely, light, fluffy flesh. Then pass it through a fine sieve. You can use a potato ricer for this, but I haven't got one, so I push it through a sieve into a glass bowl. Now, once the potato has been passed, you can add your 00 flour, which is pasta flour, your egg yolk, your parmesan, and a little bit of seasoning. Then you're going to mix this whole thing really, really well. Now, you don't need any special equipment for this, just a spoon, a knife, whatever you've got to hand will do the job. Keep mixing all the ingredients until they just start to come together. Then get your hands in there and knead until the ingredients form a nice soft dough. Just be careful not to overwork the dough at this stage. If you're activating the gluten in that flour, you'll end up with this sort of hard, firm, chewy dumpling. So minimal amount of working to bring this dough together. Once the dough has been brought together, divide it into 4 pieces and then roll each of these pieces into little sausages about 1.5 centimeters thick. As you're rolling them out, feel free to lightly dust them with a little bit of flour or semolina, absolutely up to you. Normally, I would use semolina when it comes to shaping gnocchi or pasta, so I'm not quite sure why I chose to use flour this time, but either's absolutely fine. Then, using a dough scraper or a knife, cut these little sausages into 1 to 2 centimeter size pieces to create these lovely little pillows. Then, just lightly toss them into more semolina or pasta flour just to stop them from sticking together. Now, if you want to, you don't even need to worry about doing anything else. You can use these gnocchi straight away. You can skip straight to the blanching stage. But if you want to be a little bit extra, you can give the gnocchi its sort of traditional shape by rolling them up into little balls and then creating these little grooves on the edges. So get your gnocchi board, put your gnocchi on top, you gently push it down and then you just roll it over really, really gently to create these little indentations around the edge. Do this with all the gnocchi or as many as you fancy doing until you get bored of it, whichever comes first. Once shaped, place the gnocchi onto a baking sheet and then lightly dust them with a little bit more semolina and flour to stop them from sticking together. Now they're ready to cook. So to cook your gnocchi, all you need to do is bring a pan of water to the boil, make sure there's plenty of salt in that water. Then carefully drop your gnocchi into the water. I like to do this sort of jumping tray technique where I sort of bounce them off into the water. It sort of stops me from crushing or ruining their shape as I pick them up. Too often do I see people pick up their gnocchi with their hands and then they sort of smush them all together. So all that hard work, all that time it takes to shape them is ruined. So I just bounce them off into the water. Knowing when these gnocchi are cooked is the really easy part. Once they are floating on the top of your boiling water, they're ready to go. Use a slotted spoon to scoop the cooked gnocchi from the top of the water, and then you can just put them onto a tray, drizzle with a little bit of olive oil, give them a good toss around, just to make sure they're all evenly coated with olive oil, just to stop them from sticking together. Then, to finish the gnocchi, you can heat a non-stick pan, little knob of butter, and then once it's foaming hot, you can add your gnocchi. And then you're just going to pan fry these little guys off for 2 or 3 minutes until they are golden brown. I've also added a few oyster mushrooms as a little bouquet of thyme and rosemary because I couldn't be bothered to pick and chop either of them. You can play around with the extra ingredients, it's really simple. Finally, right at the end, a little squeeze of lemon, a little bit of salt and pepper, and these gnocchi are ready to go. Now I love it with a little bit of salsa verde. I also added a few shallot crisps and some little pickled shallots just to create a little bit of balance with that sort of crispy texture and those sort of sweet and sharp notes. It was pretty awesome. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, then please leave me a thumbs up and a comment down below. I really appreciate that. And if you're new here and you like what you see, why not consider subscribing as well? If you didn't like this video, then please send all complaints to my complaints department, and that is Bake with Jack. That's info@bakewithjack.co.uk. Please, any complaints, any misgivings about this video, let him know. He'll pass the information on to me. Thank you for watching the video. Big love. Once shaped, place the gnocchi onto a tray, lightly dust them with a little bit more semolina or flour. Do you like that? Every time I say lightly dust, I'm like, throw in imaginary flour or semolina in the air. Every time. Lightly dust.